In a new wave of strikes, Hezbollah and Iran have targeted several cities across southern and northern Israel. The Israeli military says an Iranian missile has hit Dimona in southern Israel. The city is home to Israel's central nuclear facility. At least 47 people have been injured in the attack. Hezbollah also claimed responsibility for an attack on a residential building in the city of Ma'alot Tarshiha in the north. Now, those attacks come after Iran reported its Natanz nuclear facility was attacked on Saturday. The United Nations nuclear watchdog has called for military restraint to avoid the risk of a radiation leak in Iran. Israel claims it wasn't involved in the attack. Natanz is Iran's largest nuclear plant and central to its uranium enrichment program. It's also one of the sites that the United States targeted in June last year. And US Central Command, meanwhile, claims that Iran's ability to attack ships in the Strait of Hormuz has been, quote-unquote, degraded. It says strikes this week targeted an underground Iranian facility used to store anti-ship cruise missiles and other weapons. Iran's effective closure of the strait has paralyzed part of the global energy trade, forcing a surge in oil and gas prices. Now, we are reporting from Washington, Tehran, Baghdad and Ramallah in the occupied West Bank, and that is where Nour Odeh joins us from. Now, what do we know about this attack on Dimona here? You know, it is the heart of the Israeli nuclear program, is it not?
It sure is, and even taking photographs in the vicinity of the city, Rashad, is not allowed. This is a well-guarded city, home to Israel's it was at least most guarded secret, its nuclear military-grade nuclear capabilities. In any case, what we know and what has been cleared by the military censor is that there were 3 different impact sites in Dimona. One 3-story building has collapsed, and there were several fires reported. The paramedics have reported 47 people injured. One 10-year-old boy seems to be suffering from several shrapnel wounds, and his condition is being described as critical but stable. This is not the first time that Dimona was targeted, but it certainly is the first time that we see such extensive damage to the point where videos were immediately seen on social media, posted by eyewitnesses, by the residents of the city. So that's the information that we know about what happened, that was cleared again by the military censor.
Stick around with us, Nour. Let's get over to Tehran and join Ali Hashem, who is there. Ali, Iran says the attack on Dimona was basically in response to an earlier assault on its nuclear facility in Natanz. What do we know as to what happened there?
Yes, absolutely. This is what we heard from the Iranian television, that the attack on Dimona was in retaliation to the attack on Natanz. And, of course, Natanz is one of Iran's biggest nuclear facilities. In 2025, last year, the American-Israeli attacks on Natanz, Isfahan, and Fordo were described by the American President Donald Trump as the complete destruction of the Iranian nuclear facilities. Today's attack raised a lot of concerns, especially with respect to radiations, given the fact that there are, anyway, 480 kilograms of highly enriched uranium that are buried under rubble. Now, no one knows which rubble, whether it's the rubble of Natanz or Isfahan or Fordo, but there are some huge numbers of kilograms. So the idea here is that Iran is now dealing with this new threat that is expected, as actually from the beginning of the war. And we've seen on several occasions there have been rounds that fell close to the Bushehr nuclear facility on the Gulf, and several Russian engineers were evacuated. Now, they are still there, a few are still there, but some of them were evacuated. Any rockets or attacks on a nuclear facility will cause a real tragedy in the country. And that's why the Iranian nuclear organization warned people a few days ago from getting close to the nuclear facilities, and also advised people on how to react and the measures they should take in case of any facility being hit.
Going back to you, Nour, you've got top Israeli officials, they've been speaking, saying they're going to attack Iran even harder. Well, it seems they say that almost every day. What have they actually been saying, and what's the subtext?
Well, we've been hearing from the Israeli Minister of Defense and the Israeli Army's Chief of Staff, Eyal Zamir, both talk about a marked escalation in the coming week. Now, this may seem to have contradicted what we heard from the U.S. President Donald Trump about perhaps things winding down. But the Israeli Broadcasting Authority in the past few minutes talked about an escalation, a joint escalation of military activity from the U.S. and Israel, and that despite anything that is being said, this week will be decisive. Of course, this coincides with the Israeli thinking that there's a window of opportunity here to do as much damage as possible before the U.S. decides to pull out of the war. And of course, we're hearing some initial reports that maybe there are talks, there is thinking in Washington about trying to see a way out, a diplomatic off-ramp perhaps. But in the meantime, the situation on the ground for these Israeli officials who are talking more war is also in parallel dealing with more public pressure. The mayor of Dimona, for example, just announced that schools which were supposed to open tomorrow will not be open for the foreseeable future. So the state of emergency persists, and the price on civilian life, on normalcy, on the economy continues.
Nour, thanks. That's Nour Odeh in Ramallah, in the occupied West Bank. Let's get you back to Ali Hashem in Tehran. Now, this one came out of a left field, didn't it? I mean, Iran targeting this British-American base in Diego Garcia, 4,000 kilometers away from Iran. Nobody saw that one coming.
Well, I mean, given the fact that Iran has imposed on itself a self-cap of 2,000 kilometers during the life of the former leader, Ali Khamenei, yes, for the moment, no one saw this coming, but it was a black swan, and it seems that it was there, but no one knew about it. Given the fact that these missiles, Iran has a ballistic missiles program, and these missiles can be altered. So just lessening or lowering the amount of explosives, the explosive head, could give it more range. And add to that, Iran already has an active space program, and this space program has the capabilities of launching rockets to the range of 4,000, 5,000 kilometers. So it's not something that's not possible. Now, the issue here is about the signal. What Iran is signaling. It's not about the attack itself. It's not about the missile falling or not falling. It's about the intent. And the intent here is to show that Iran is capable, first of all, of launching rockets with such a range. The second thing, and I think this is the most important, that what Iran is capable right now of is to cancel the red lines the former leader has placed.
Ali Hashem there for us in Tehran.